So, starting with introduction to RERA. Before the introduction of RERA, there was no authority governing the real estate sector. There were too many fraudulent practices being practiced by the promoters and other people involved. Fraudulent advertisement were happening. The projects were used to get stalled for years and years. So there was a need कि कोई act, कोई regulation आए which actually governs the real estate sector. So which is why the government of India enacted the Real Estate Regulation and Development Act 2016. All the sections came into force with effect from 1st May 2016. Thereafter, each government of the state and union territories respectively were asked to establish their own authorities as well as the adjudicating mechanism. So within that guidelines, the government of Maharashtra established the Maharashtra Real Estate Regulatory Authority, which is commonly known as MAHARERA. Hereinafter, for ease, हम भी MAHARERA term use करेंगे instead of the Maharashtra Real Estate Regulatory Authority. And MAHARERA is also made the regulatory authority for the Union Territory of Daman, Diu, Dadra and Nagar Haveli. But in this seminar, we are currently focusing on everything of MAHARERA relating to the state of Maharashtra only. So coming to the role of RERA in transforming the real estate sector, RERA, just like any other authority, which if we take example of like SEBI या IREDA, जब भी वो start में आए थे, they had very limited coverage, but they had huge missions and visions. With that, they are now dealing and minutely checking all the details and regulating their respective sectors. Similarly, RERA according to me बहुत initial stage में है अभी. Similar to other authorities, उनका mission and vision बहुत बड़ा है, but it has going to be undergoing too many changes. Interdepartmental correspondence अभी अभी start हुआ है last 1-2 years में, which is bound to increase. So, starting with the mission, MAHARERA is very clear to establish symmetry of information through all the stakeholders. Among all the stakeholders, they expect this to do through transparency, fiscal discipline, accountability, and fast-track dispute resolution. We'll look into the statistics of dispute resolution and how they are trying to achieve the transparency and fiscal discipline in the seminar afterwards. Coming to the vision, they want to facilitate and promote a very healthy and efficient and planned growth of real estate sector in the state of Maharashtra. They are trying to build trust among all the stakeholders. They are trying to raise professionalisms. They are making even the real estate agents now being compliant, undergo training and raise their professionalism as well. And of course, safeguarding the consumer interest, which is their major priority. सो बिफोर कोई सेक्टर, क्योंकि कोई ये सेक्टर में कोई भी रेगुलेटरी अथॉरिटी नहीं था, सो रेरा हैज डेफिनेटली इंक्रीज ट्रस्ट अमंग पीपल. नाउ दैट वी नो कि कोई प्रोजेक्ट अगर रेरा देख रहा है, देन रेरा विल लुक इनटू इट अप्रोप्रिएटली. रेरा विल मॉनिटर द प्रोजेक्ट, सो द पॉसिबिलिटी ऑफ फ्रॉडुलेंट प्रैक्टिस इज हैपनिंग इज reduced and the trust of people is increased. To bring in greater transparency, if we look from the point of view of an home buyer, वो जब भी पहले जब भी कोई फ्लैट या कोई अपार्टमेंट या कोई बिल्डिंग या प्लॉट खरीदने जाते थे, तो देर वॉज नो सिमेट्री ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन अवेलेबल ऑन सम रेगुलेटरी अथॉरिटीज पोर्टल. Nowadays, be it mortgage details, be it title report details, be it number of inventory details, everything is available publicly on MAHARERA portal itself. So the confidence of home buyer is boost, and with that they can make an informed decisions. They promote accountability. They are making the promoters liable for their wrongdoings. They also rely very much on the professionals. They ask the professionals to issue the certificates, which they compare with the details provided by the promoter, and within that, so that they can make the promoters accountable for anything wrongdoing by them. adherence to law and order. They compel the promoters to follow the timelines. They monitor the project. They scrutinize the project from time to time. If any compliance is missed out, they issue notices. They do questions before the promoters for any kind of extension or correction application. So which is why the promoters are aware any kind of wrongdoings are not possible now. they of course they reduce the fraudulent practices. पहले possible था, ये न्यूज होती थी कि एक ही फ्लैट दो होम बायर्स को सेल हो चुकी है, which is now reduced to greater extent because things are now available publicly. The buyers can make an informed decisions. पहले mortgages of against the land वगैरह की डिटेल्स कहीं प्रॉपरली कोई रेगुलेटरी अथॉरिटी के पास पब्लिकली बहुत इजीली अवेलेबल नहीं होती थी, which is now available. So the fraudulent practices can there be also reduced. Speedy dispute resolution, we'll look into the statistics, but Maharera has been very much focused on the complaint module. The complaints received are very diligently checked and responded very quickly. So the disputes between the yeah, promoters and the home buyers, or be it with the agents and the promoters or with the home buyers, are very much taken care by the Marera very much seriously. Promoting timely completion, they compel the promoters to complete in time. Extensions applications हाँ होते हैं, आज भी होते हैं, बट दे आर नाउ हैंडल्ड वेरी स्ट्रिक्टली. पहले थोड़ा लीनियंट व्यू लिया जाता था, बट नाउ इट हैज बीन हैंडलिंग वेरी 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 स्ट्रिक्टली. एंड ऑफ कोर्स प्रमोटिंग स्टैंडर्डाइजेशंस, बहुत सारी जगह पे बहुत सारे डेफिनेशंस. फॉर एग्जांपल एरिया का डेफिनेशन, इट इज वेरी क्लियर कि क्या इंक्लूड होना है क्या नहीं होना है. सो देर इज नो fraudulent practice or being any confusion in the mind of anybody. The agreement, the model sale agreements, वो सब के भी formats very much standard है. So there is very much information available on RERA portal so that the buyers can make informed decisions. Coming to the career paths for professionals in RERA, before just going into what all practices can we do, just showing the statistics which is available on the Maharera portal. So till date, the number of projects which are registered under Maharera is 49,354, nearly 50,000 projects, out of which only nearly 15,000 projects are completed, which is just like 31% approximately. So more than 70% projects are still in progress. So there is a possibility for us to help them with the compliance. As the rules and regulations are ever changing, we can help them and guide them in knowing the amended rules and regulations. The Also the agents which are getting registered are nearly 49,500 approximately. So even their compliances are increasing. We can help them with knowing the rules and regulations which are amended. Even we can help them in completing their training, guiding them how training is to be taken, how compliances are to be taken care by. Coming to the complaint statistics, so here total complaint received is nearly 28,604, out of which more than 20,000 complaints have been already disposed of. If we look into the statistics, the total number of complaints against the registered projects is 27,577, which is nearly 55% approximately out of the total projects which were registered. So every second project is having some kind of litigations. As the number of project is going to increase in future, the practice in the complaint module of RERA itself is also going to increase. Another Maharera Reconciliation Forum statistics is available. What is Maharera Conciliation Forum? We will look into that in later part of seminar. But though it is very small, Maharera is now promoting because they settle the disputes amicably, and it is also cheaper and very much fast track as compared to the normal routine procedure of complaint. So even this number is expected to be increased in future. So for all the three modules, if we look into the compliance, the professionals can guide them. First, for the promoters, they can guide them in registrations. They can guide them in ever-changing rules and regulations, and also they can guide them in knowing all the details which are to be kept on their website, all the rules and regulations which are to be followed while marketing and advertising, and also to assist them in documentations at many point, and we'll look into that in the seminar. Many certificates are required, for example, from engineers, chartered accountants, architects, lawyers. So we can help them with the documentation and reporting, and also help them to ensure that they timely comply with all the provisions, they complete the project timely, and they follow all the rules and regulations. Coming to litigation module, we can help them in filing of complaints and representation. For real estate agent, it is very small module as compared to the promoters, but we can help them in taking the registration, help them in knowing the rules and regulations, help them in training, and as well as help them in their compliances, which is just one compliance as compared to the promoters model, which have too many types of compliances. And lastly, as financial consultants, we can help them in project financing, in guiding the investment strategies, and also RERA is very much particular about the funds withdrawal and utilizations. We'll look into that in great depth also when we discuss Form 3. But because of that utilization and withdrawal norms, we can help them in guiding them so that they are financially complied with the RERA norms. Coming to the registration requirements of promoters, two questions. First is why registration is required. वो चाहिए ही क्यों registration? In simple, very much simple term, आप किसी को sell नहीं कर सकते हो, आप कोई भी तरह की marketing नहीं कर सकते हो. You cannot invite anybody कि आप आके just देख लो. Not even which we say remotely कि हमने marketing भी नहीं की, but it is not that you cannot invite also anybody for to ask them to purchase or to offer or sell in any plot, building, any variation of words which is coming in the local limits of Maharashtra without getting registered. Nowadays, if you look into the registration authority, अगर आप कहीं कोई agreement register करने जाओगे, तब भी वहां पे भी the authority requires valid RERA registration certificate. अगर registration है but वो expire या lapse हो चुका है, then also they will not register your agreement. Secondly, कौन से projects register करने compulsory है? So section 3 of the RERA Act states that it starts with that all the commercial and residential projects are required registrations, only with 3 exceptions. The first exception है, वहां पे एक very recently एक clarification लाया गया था, which is very much welcome by everybody. The first condition wherein the registration is not required is that the area of land to be developed does not exceed 500 square meters, or the number of apartments which are proposed to be developed in all the phases cumulatively does not exceed 8. So in cases jahan pe area does not exceed 500 but the number of apartment exceeds 8, there was an ambiguity कि वहां पे registration लेना compulsory है कि नहीं. So Maharera Wide Order number 62 they have clarified कि वहां पे भी registration लेना compulsory नहीं है. So if in either cases वहां पे area exceed हो रहा है and number of apartments does not exceed, या फिर area does not exceed and number of apartment exceeds, in both the situation the RERA registration is not required. Secondly, जहाँ पे the projects are completed before the enactment of RERA, but they might have unsold inventories, but because उनको completion certificate before RERA आ चुका है, they are not required to register under RERA. And lastly, जहाँ पे the tenants they themselves undertake redevelopment or repairing or renovation works when there is no external sale to anybody. कोई भी थर्ड पार्टी को कोई भी सेल नहीं हो रहा है, सिर्फ द पीपल लिविंग देयर आर डूइंग द कंस्ट्रक्शन वर्क फॉर देयर ओन सेल्फ, then there is no requirement of RERA to be registration to be taken. Now coming to the registration process, we will look into in depth which details are required. Starting with the website, पहले at the inception website यही थी maharera.it.mahaonline.gov.in. In 2024 nearly around August they had shifted to the new portal, but वहाँ पे बहुत सारे technical difficulties आ रही थी and promoters को बहुत सारी problems हो रही थी, so they decided to shift back to the old portal. So now the portal is the old one only. बेसिक लॉगिन क्रिएशन, यूजर आईडी पासवर्ड क्रिएट करके मोबाइल नंबर ईमेल आईडी डाल के आप लॉगिन क्रिएट कर सकते हो. एक एक्टिवेशन लिंक जाता है ईमेल पे. वंस दैट इट इज एक्टिवेटेड यू कैन लॉग इन टू द पोर्टल. The first details you need to fill in is the profile details. So I'll just take 2 minutes to explain the promoters term in under the RERA. There might be a situation जहाँ पे एक प्रोजेक्ट में मोर देन वन प्रमोटर्स हो सकते हैं, बिकॉज देयर माइट बी एरिया शेयरिंग, देयर माइट बी रेवेन्यू शेयरिंग। सो पहले के टाइम पे लैंड ओनर्स, इन्वेस्टर्स, उन्हें को प्रमोटर्स बोला जाता था। देयर आफ्टर रेरा केम विद अ क्लैरिफिकेशन दैट नो, दे आर नॉट known, they are no more known as co-promoters, now they will be known as the promoters only. So अभी तो सारे promoters हो गए, so now who is required to take RERA registration, which details are required, उस चीज को लेके एम्बिग्विटी थी, विच इज अगेन क्लैरिफाइड बाय रेरा कि जो जिस प्रमोटर को रेरा रजिस्ट्रेशन लेना चाहिए, दैट पर्सन इज नोन एज द डेजिग्नेटेड प्रमोटर। वेन एवर नॉट टोल्ड स्पेसिफिकली, वहां पे सब जगह पे डेजिग्नेटेड प्रमोटर्स की ही डिटेल जानी है। अदर प्रमोटर्स डिटेल्स आर ऑल्सो रिक्वायर्ड टू बी फिल्ड इन, बट देयर compliances and documentation issued by them are very much lower as compared to the designated promoter. द कंप्लायंसेस पार्ट ऑल्सो की जो अपडेशन, रेगुलर अपडेशन एंड सारे डॉक्यूमेंटेशन देने हैं, दैट इज ऑल्सो द रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ऑफ डेजिग्नेटेड प्रमोटर ओनली। So coming to the profile details, the designated promoters होगा, उनका type of organization, PAN number, all the, if it is a partnership तो सारे partners की details देना compulsory, if it is a proprietorship then proprietor, and if it is a private limited company then all directors details is required to be compulsory. Basic contact details, name, Aadhaar card, PAN card, address, photo, etc. are required, which can be easily filled by every professional. Then coming to past experience detail, अगर designated promoter का कोई भी past experience रहा है in the field of real estate, then that is required to be filled in. Basic details again, उनका area कितना था, cost कितना था, project completion कभी expected था, and what is the actual project date completion, that needs to be filled in. Coming to the self-regulatory organization membership number. Self-regulatory organization, they are the mediator between the promoters and the RERA department. पुराने टाइम पे if anybody had attended the Fridays and Thursdays public meeting, तभी we can had the opportunity to directly talk to the RERA department, but now it has been stopped. So अभी कोई भी query, कोई भी communication if we want to make to the RERA department, then that gets routed through the self-regulatory organization only. उनका membership, किसी भी एक का membership लेना compulsory है। Examples of self-regulatory organizations are BAI, BDA, CREDAI, MHCI, CREDAI. Everybody is practically very much helpful. They can help you to solve your grievances. They can help you with the queries in relation to registration, compliance, and everything. Coming to the project details, the second thing, again very much easily available from the sanction plan and layout, जो land है, FSI details है, proposed है, कितनी sanctioned है, नहीं है, land details if you are in coming into the municipal limits of MCGM, so that is directly fetched by the RERA department from the file number. They are increasing their capability of fetching the details from other departments, which is now on a very small scale, but of course with the use of AI it will increase to greater extent in future. Again, complete address of the project, the boundaries of the project, so that they can exactly locate that project. GIS details, which is the latitude and longitude details, are required. Coming to the designated separate bank account details, so I'll just explain in brief about the bank accounts to be opened under RERA. So every promoter who is entitled to area share or revenue share is required to open 3 accounts. Those 3 accounts are known as the collection account, the designated separate bank account, and transaction accounts. The collection account is commonly known as the 100% account. The designated separate bank account is known as the 70% account, and the transaction bank account is known as the 30% account. If there is more than one promoter, then सबके ऊपर एक master account create करना होता है, wherein the home buyers money are received. Then based on the agreement you give it to bank automatically transfers that amount in the proportion to each promoters. And जब भी वो collection account में आता है promoters के, then again from there the bank transfers the amount to the transaction account and the designated separate bank account. जो भी अमाउंट्स जो आते हैं उनका नियरली एज पर द एक्ट 70% ऑफ द अमाउंट्स नीड्स टू गो इनटू द डेजिग्नेटेड सेपरेट बैंक अकाउंट, एंड वहां से जितने भी कॉस्ट जो रेरा में अलाउड है only that needs to be paid from the designated bank account. From transaction bank account you can make payments of others, for example GST हो गया, आपके मार्केटिंग स्टाफ की सैलरी हो गई, आपके एडमिन एक्सपेंसेस हो गए, वो सारे आप ट्रांजैक्शन बैंक अकाउंट से कर सकते हो, बट दे आर नॉट अलाउड टू बी डन फ्रॉम द designated separate bank account details. So the details which are to be filled here is the designated separate bank account of the promoters, which is the designated promoter only. Coming to the promoters and landowner investor details, so जहाँ पे more than one landowner and investor या फिर more than one promoter है, तो बाकी के सारे promoters की details promoters tab में fill करनी है. Again, very basic contact details, type of organization, what is the arrangement or agreement with, whether it is revenue share or area share. Coming to the building details, up till now every detail we filled in were for the project, completely for the project. So now few details will be for building specific, which is like जहाँ पे एक बड़े project में more than one wing या structure या building होंगे, so building specific details भी बहुत सारी जगह पे we need to fill in, and some of the details which are common for the project, तो वो entire project के लिए फिर वहां पे building specific details fill नहीं करनी है. So the project completion date can be different for different wings. पहले वो थोड़ी एम्बिग्विटी थी कि एंटायर प्रोजेक्ट के लिए एक ही प्रोजेक्ट कंप्लीशन डेट रखना पड़ता है, बट दे ऑल्सो अग्री विद दैट, एंड प्रैक्टिकली इट इज पॉसिबल कि कोई एक स्ट्रक्चर पहले बन गया एंड द सेकेंड स्ट्रक्चर इज देन कंस्ट्रक्टेड आफ्टरवर्ड्स, सो द प्रोजेक्ट कंप्लीशन डेट्स कैन डिफर. Of course, the number of sanctioned floors, basement, plinth, podium, stills, open and closed parking will be different for different buildings. So that needs to be filled in based on the sanctioned portion only. So here I'll take 2 minutes again to explain the details. Everything to be filled in the registration application has to be for the sanctioned portion only. So there is a possibility जहाँ पे a building is proposed to be constructed of 24 floors, but let's say for example only 10 floors permission is received by them to construct. So every details to be filled in the registration application has to be of that 10 floors only, which is very much logical because this is a public information. So if the details of those 10 floors which have not received sanction, if that is publicly available, then the home buyers may end up buying something which might not actually get permission in future as well. So only the details of the sanction portion are to be mentioned. So in apartment details as well, carpet area wise details of inventory, कितने 1 BHK 2 BHK कौन से 3 BHK है, कितने total proposed apartments है, and out of which how many are already booked, allotted or sold. RERA usually does not allow any kind of details which are mismatching between the details and documentation, but यहाँ पे एक जगह पे in one scenario there can be difference or mismatch of details in cases of redevelopment जहाँ पे tenants को already sale हो चुका है. देर इज अ पॉसिबिलिटी कि उनको थोड़ा एक्स्ट्रा एरिया लैंड या एक्स्ट्रा एरिया भी सेल हो चुका है, दैट इज बिफोर रजिस्ट्रेशन ऑफ रेरा, which is technically not allowed but practically they have no other option. So those flats which are already booked by the tenants are actually sold before RERA, but here the RERA department website does not allow you to enter that flats which are already allocated to tenants. So the first thing after getting registration, the first responsibility of the promoter is to fill in this details and update it as soon as they receive the RERA registration certificate. Coming to the common areas and facilities, this is common for entire project. They have given a list of facilities which can be also added if any other facility is also provided by the promoter. Basic details, again, which details and what is the percentage completion of those facilities. This is readily available from the architect certificate. So based on the certificate, we can fill in these details. Coming to the cost details, we'll look into the cost details in great depth when we discuss Form 3. We'll look into that in great detail, but just giving an overview, RERA divides cost into two parts, land cost and development cost. सम ऑफ द एक्सपेंसेस जो रेरा ने स्पेसिफिकली बोल दिया है, फॉर एग्जांपल लाइक मार्केटिंग एंड सेल्स स्टाफ सैलरी, या फिर कोई भी प्रमोशनल एडवर्टीजमेंट या कोई भी एक्सपेंस इन रिलेशन टू सेल जो होंगे, दैट इज नॉट अलाउड अंडर रेरा, विच इज वेरी मच क्लियरली एक्सप्लेन्ड. What all details are included in the land cost and development cost, we'll look into that in Form 3. Again, project cost details should be of the sanction project portion of the project only. This is because जब भी हम Form 3 issue करते हैं, by the chartered accountants issue Form 3, वहां पे they have to give details of cost as well as of the inventory. तो जहां पे inventory की detail only sanction portion allowed है, so to keep the entire form in parity of details, the cost also of the sanction portion is only allowed. As cost details and cost of construction details and the total cost details are also certified by engineer and chartered accountant. So ये सारी details उनके certificate से match होनी चाहिए. Any contradiction is not allowed and you can get scrutiny remarks if there is any mismatch. Coming to the professional details, the प्रोफेशनल डिटेल्स में कॉन्ट्रैक्टर, आर्किटेक्ट, इंजीनियर एंड चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट की डिटेल डालना कंपलसरी है. अंडर रेरा, two engineers are required for any project. One is the site engineer and other is the structural engineer. दोनों engineers की details update करना compulsory है. And similarly for chartered accountants, two chartered accountants are required for any project. One is the statutory chartered accountant and the other one is any other accountant, chartered accountant other than the statutory auditor. So both of their details are mandatorily required to be updated. रियल एस्टेट एजेंट जहां पे अपॉइंट ही नहीं हुए हैं वहां पे ऑप्शनल है, इट इज नॉट रिक्वायर्ड. बट इफ यू हैव अपॉइंटेड द रियल एस्टेट एजेंट तो उनकी डिटेल डालना, देन इट इज मैंडेटरी. दे शुड हैव अ वैलिड रेरा रजिस्ट्रेशन सर्टिफिकेट. नाउअडेज देयर रजिस्ट्रेशन सर्टिफिकेट्स आर आल्सो नॉट easily renewed, so they should have a valid RERA registration certificate and you need to mandatorily fill in those details. Coming to the litigation, कोई भी litigation in relation to the project, be it in RERA, be it in Maharashtra RERA या other than Maharashtra RERA, be it in the any other court as well, सारे details, be it past or present, all the litigation details fill करना compulsory है. अगेन वेरी बेसिक डिटेल्स जो आपको डॉक्यूमेंट से डायरेक्टली मिल जाएंगे, नेम ऑफ कोर्ट, टाइप ऑफ पिटिशन, केस नंबर, ईयर, प्रेजेंट स्टेटस, एंड ऑल्सो इफ देर इज एनी प्रिवेंटिव इंजंक्शन और इंटरिम ऑर्डर देन उसकी डिटेल्स डालना है. डॉक्यूमेंटेशन इन रिलेशन टू लिटिगेशन इज नॉट स्पेसिफिकली आस्क्ड एनीवेयर अंडर रेरा रजिस्ट्रेशन, बट if required, the same can be uploaded in the other legal tab. Coming to the task activities details, now these details are to be filled in the structure wise. They have given an exhaustive list ki kitna internal development, kitna external development, kitne slab of superstructure excavation. They have given a list. You need to just fill in the percentage completion of the each activity. Again, this is very much readily available by, from the architect certificate, so only the details from there needs to be filled in. Coming to the documentations, I'll cover the documentation which is Form 3 and Form 5, which are issued by chartered accountants in great details. Other documentation I've covered, we will look into that. But in case if there any of the document is required in great detail, we can have that conversation as well. So coming to first, the agreement which is made, maybe a joint development agreement or redevelopment agreement, any agreement which is undertaken, so either that or MOU copy, PAN card of the designated promoter organization. Latest sanction copy of layout approval or building plan approval is required, but it is advisable that all the previous approvals also are uploaded. It is not compulsory, but it is advisable to have a fair practice. And in case if it is a plotted development, then any order is required. Similarly, for commencement certificates, if the permissions are received in part, then all commencement certificates are required. And in cases of a plotted development, again, any order is required. Now coming to declaration in Form B, This declaration on the 100 rupee stamp paper duly notarized is required to be given by all the promoters and not just the designated promoters. This requirement is to be given by all the promoters. Other documents are only required by the designated promoters only. So what details are included here? The project completion date, the declaration that they will upload the audit report within due date, the declaration that they will follow the financial norms, which is 70% account withdrawal limit. They will adherence. They will have the adherence to those norms as well. Any kind of deviation from any clauses, they have given this standard format. Any kind of deviation is not allowed. If there is any kind of deviation, then they will not give you the registration. They will issue you scrutiny remarks. What is scrutiny remarks, how it is dealt in, we will look into the later part of the seminar as well. Coming to the legal title report, one query which every promoter face is that legal title report बहुत पुराना होता है, which is not allowed. At the time of application, it should not be older than 6 months. It has two parts, legal title report and the flow of title of the said land. This is issued by the advocate or lawyer of the promoter. Coming to the details of in relation to encumbrance, if there is any kind of encumbrance in relation to project, be it finance or legal, then a encumbrance certificate is required. Otherwise, a declaration is required on the designated promoter's letterhead by the designated promoter that there is no encumbrance in whether in relation to finance or legal. One requirement, they have not stated this specifically, but in this declaration, all the details of the project, be it CTS number, plot number, area, taluka, etc., every detail of the project registration number, which has to be kept blank at the time of registration, everything has to be mentioned in the declaration. Second, then coming to declaration about commencement certificate, the format of declaration is quite standardized and also available on the RERA portal. The details in relation to commencement certificate and layout approval are to be mentioned here. कौन सी प्लानिंग अथॉरिटी ने कहाँ तक बीट, लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल 10 फ्लोर्स तक सैंक्शन हुआ है, सो दिस प्लानिंग अथॉरिटी हैज गिवन सैंक्शन, द लेआउट अप्रूवल सैंक्शन इज रिसीव्ड ऑन दोज so and so date. All those details needs to be filled in. And one more declaration, जहाँ पे they ask the promoters to fill in that as and when नया commencement certificate या नई layout approval आएगी, they will upload that immediately. We'll look into the compliance part, this point in compliance part as well, कि some documents are to be uploaded as and when there is any change. Some needs to be uploaded from time to time. So this is the document wherein the changes has to be uploaded as and when the same has done. Coming to the home buyer or allotee grievance sale, again a very recent amendment in 2023, जहाँ पे every promoter has to establish a home buyer or allotee grievance cell, एक home ग्रीवेंस रिड्रेसल ऑफिसर की डिटेल्स देनी होती है. सिंपल डिटेल्स, सिंपल कॉन्टैक्ट डिटेल्स, नेम हो गया, मोबाइल नंबर, ईमेल आईडी हो गया. हु विल लुक आफ्टर टू ऑल द ग्रीवेंसेस ऑफ द home buyers or allottees. At the same time, ये जो details है, they have to be uploaded on the website of the promoter as well. कितने grievances आई, what is the status of that grievance, everything needs to be uploaded on that promoter's web page as well. Again, welcome change at least should be considered as a welcome change by the chartered accountants. The disclosure of finance availed for the project, very recently introduced in 2024. एक declaration on the letterhead of promoter, again containing very simple details कि कौन lender है, कितना amount disburse हुआ है, कितना नहीं हुआ है, कितना sanction हुआ है, what is the mortgage details. Also इसके साथ एक एंड यूज ऑफ सर्टिफिकेट इशू करना होता है बाय द चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट्स कि ये जो लोन आया है, जो लोन डिसबर्स हुआ है, व्हाट वाज द एंड यूज ऑफ दैट लोन अमाउंट, सो दैट देयर इज नो साइफनिंग ऑफ द फंड हैपनिंग. Practically, now onwards, any kind of financial institution, even if they sanction their loan, if you have not received any RERA registration certificate, they don't disburse your loan. Even in that situation, excavation also, CA certificate is required. It is mandatory when there is any kind of finance availed. If there is no finance availed, then only the CA certificate is not mandatory. This is mandatory in case of unsecured finance as well. बहुत बार promoters को ये होता है कि secured नहीं है, unsecured है, so there is no need, but that is not the scenario. Unsecured में भी ये declaration as well as CA certificate is very much compulsory. Then coming to disclosure of interest in other real estate organization, बहुत सारी डिटेल्स जो पास्ट में हुआ या फिर जो प्रेजेंट में प्रमोटर्स अगर कोई और भी रियल एस्टेट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन से अगर लिंक्ड है, इफ दे आर अंडरटेकिंग अदर प्रोजेक्ट्स एज वेल, सो दे आर कलेक्टिंग दैट इंफॉर्मेशन एज वेल. This at this point they are not using this information, but they can definitely utilize this information when as time passes and as there is a need to utilize this information. So all the partners or promoters or directors of the designated promoter, if they are in any way interested in any other real estate organization, not only in Maharashtra, अगर कोई किसी और state या union territory में भी उनका registration है, then that declaration, that details needs to be given by the designated promoter to RERA. Again, on the letterhead, format is very much simple and clearly available on RERA portal. Coming to the architect certificate, in RERA, architects are required to issue two certificates, Form 1 and Form 4. Form 1 is the physical progress of the project. जो दो tables हमने देखे, task, activity and common areas and facilities, उनका जो percentage completion है, based on the physical project of the physical progress of the project, that is certified by the architect. Also एक Form 4 है जो at the time of completion, जब भी project पूरा complete हो जाएगा physically, and occupation certificate is received, then at that time Form 4 is required. At the time of registration and ongoing compliances, only one certificate is required to be issued by the architect, which is Form 1. In RERA, कोई भी professional, be it architect, engineer, chartered accountants, कभी भी अगर वो कोई भी certificate issue कर रहे हैं, then that needs to be accepted by the promoter. They need to duly sign and stamp and write that it is agreed and accepted. अदरवाइज देन दैट सर्टिफिकेट इज नॉट कंसिडर एज वैलिड. अगर सिर्फ जो आर्किटेक्ट से आया अगर वो अपलोड हो गया है, देन स्क्रूटिनी रिमार्क्स आर बाउंड टू बी रिसीव्ड. आपको पहले वो चीज एक्सेप्ट करनी पड़ेगी एज अ प्रमोटर एंड ओनली देन दैट फॉर्म इज कंसिडर एज वैलिड. कमिंग टू इंजीनियर, सेम फॉर इंजीनियर, उनको एक्सेप्ट करना पड़ेगा प्रमोटर को. For engineers, two types, as already informed, two types of engineers are required. One is the site engineer and other is the structural engineer. Site engineer basically उनका जो employee होता है, who is available on site 24/7, so that the quality of workmanship, the quality of materials is checked. That certificate is issued by the site engineer. And for structural engineer, जो timely visit करते हैं, वो फिजिकल प्रोग्रेस के बेस पे जो कॉस्ट ऑफ कंस्ट्रक्शन है, उसमें भी दो पार्ट्स है. वन इज द कॉस्ट ऑफ इंटरनल एंड एक्सटर्नल डेवलपमेंट वर्क्स एंड अदर इज द कॉस्ट ऑफ द एंटायर बिल्डिंग और लेआउट. वो दो अमाउंट सर्टिफाई करते हैं. This cost amount is also needs to be mentioned in Form 3, which is Chartered Accountant Certificate, जो engineer देता है based on physical progress and जो Chartered Accountants issue करते हैं based on books of accounts. So this Form 2 is required at the time of registration and the ongoing compliances. जो क्वालिटी वाला जो साइट इंजीनियर होता है वो साल में एक ही बार ईयरली अपलोड करना होता है. Coming to the side details, again should be very much important from the point of view of home buyer. अगर कोई भी लैंड या प्रोजेक्ट के लिए किसी भी तरह का जो लोन या सिक्योरिटी इंटरेस्ट क्रिएट हुआ है, then that certificate needs to be downloaded from that SERSAI portal, and that report should not be older than 10 days. जब भी आप अपलोड करो at the time of registration या कोई भी changes हुआ, that report cannot be older than 10 days. This is obviously introduced so that there is awareness among the home buyers and allottees. They know that there is a security interest and they can make all kind of informed decisions. अगर कोई सिक्योरिटी इंटरेस्ट क्रिएट नहीं किया है, देन सिंपल डिक्लेरेशन ऑन द लेटर हेड ऑफ द प्रमोटर्स wherein the project details are state can be uploaded. अगर किसी ने 2017 वगैरह में कोई रजिस्ट्रेशन या वो कोई भी प्रोसेस रजिस्ट्रेशन का देखा होगा, तभी एट दैट टाइम इट वाज वेरी मच lenient by रेरा, दे यूज टू गिव रजिस्ट्रेशन बेस्ड ऑन इवन डिक्लेरेशन कि हम ये फ्यूचर में डॉक्यूमेंट सबमिट करेंगे. बट नाउ रेरा हैज बिकम स्ट्रिंजेंट. अभी कोई भी डिक्लेरेशन बिना प्रॉपर डॉक्यूमेंटेशन के कोई भी ऐसा डिक्लेरेशन आर नॉट अलाउड करेंटली. माइट बी उनका पास्ट में रहेगा, दे जस्ट वांटेड टू ऑनबोर्ड द प्रमोटर्स मोर एंड मोर, बट नाउ एज दे कैन नॉट रजिस्टर, they cannot advertise, and that clauses are now becoming stringent. They are going to be more stringent for giving registrations as well. बहुत बार क्लाइंट्स को ऐसा होता है कि अरे ये एक छोटा सा तो डिक्लेरेशन है, वैसे भी कोई सिक्योरिटी इंटरेस्ट नहीं है, सो व्हाट इज द नीड ऑफ अपलोडिंग, उसके लिए क्यों रजिस्ट्रेशन अटका के रखा है. बट नाउ रेरा विल नॉट अलाउ. They are becoming stringent, and they will of course become stringent, more and more stringent as the time passes. So all kind of details are, all kind of documentation having complete details are only allowed. Coming to the disclosure of sold book inventory, ये ऑप्शनल अटैचमेंट है, बट जब भी हम लोगों ने वो इन्वेंट्री डिटेल्स, अपार्टमेंट डिटेल्स की बात की थी, वहां पे एक कॉन्ट्राडिक्शन जो हो रहा है व्हेन यू सेल इट टू द टेनेंट्स इन केसेस ऑफ रीडेवलपमेंट. सो इन दैट सिनेरियो, टू हैव जस्ट अ फेयर डिस्क्लोजर ऑफ ऑल द डिटेल्स एंड डॉक्यूमेंटेशन, ये डॉक्यूमेंट अपलोड करना कंपलसरी हो जाता है. It is not mandatorily required as per RERA, but you can say that to have a fair disclosure, you have uploaded this document. Again, very basic details, जो flat number है, जो carpet area है, and what is the status, whether it is booked, whether it is allotted to tenant, or whether it is sold, that needs to be updated. Along with this, ये जो इन्वेंट्री डिटेल है वो फॉर्म 3 में भी जाती है. सो द डॉक्यूमेंटेशन इंटरनली शुड नॉट कॉन्ट्राडिक्ट, सो दिस डिटेल शुड टैली विद फॉर्म 3 एज वेल. कमिंग टू द सेपरेट बैंक अकाउंट डिक्लेरेशन, हमने जैसे ही बात किया जो बैंक अकाउंट्स टू बी ओपन अंडर रेरा, सो दे हैव गिवन नाउ एन अमेंडमेंट. पहले ये जो डिक्लेरेशन होता था फॉर्मेट है, उसमें हर जगह पे है ना, सिर्फ जो डेजिग्नेटेड प्रमोटर का जो सेपरेट बैंक अकाउंट है, विच इज दैट 70% अकाउंट, only that details were required. But in 2024, very recently they changed this format. अभी जितने भी बैंक अकाउंट रेरा में जो ओपन हुए हैं बाय एनी प्रमोटर्स, ऑल दोज डिटेल्स आर रिक्वायर्ड. जो ब्रांच डिटेल्स है, जहाँ पे जो ये बैंक अकाउंट्स ओपन हुए हैं, उसकी भी डिटेल्स वो भी पहले चाहिए थी, अभी भी चाहिए रहेगी. only one detail is added, small email id of the branch manager is also now required to be filled in. पहले सिर्फ प्रमोटर्स ये चीज डिक्लेयर करते थे एंड दे हैड टू जस्ट एक्सेप्ट इट. नाउ दे हैव मेड दिस रिक्वायरमेंट इन द सेम ऑर्डर कि ये सारी चीजें अभी बैंक भी अपने लेटर हेड पे ब्रांच मैनेजर की साइन एंड स्टैम्प के साथ ये सारी डिटेल्स, अगेन बैंक अकाउंट्स की एंड जो ब्रांच की डिटेल्स है, दे सर्टिफाइड एंड दे अपलोडेड. दे जस्ट इंट्रोड्यूस द मेकर चेकर कॉन्सेप्ट जस्ट टू मेक श्योर कि ये जो बैंक अकाउंट डिटेल्स जो फिल कर रहे हैं are not wrong, or there is any kind of typographical error possible. So they have introduced this new form. कमिंग टू द प्रोफर्मा अग्रीमेंट ऑफ सेल, सबसे ज्यादा क्वेरीज, सबसे ज्यादा स्क्रूटिनी रिमार्क्स प्रोफर्मा अग्रीमेंट ऑफ सेल के लिए ही आते हैं सारे प्रमोटर्स को. देयर हैज बीन टू मेनी अमेंडमेंट्स इन दिस, इट इज एवर चेंजिंग, सो दैट एक पॉइंट आ गया था, इतने सारे अमेंडमेंट्स थे. दे इन 2024 दे केम अप विद द एंटायर रिवाइज्ड फॉर्मेट, जहाँ पे पिछले सारे जो अमेंडमेंट्स थे वो एक साथ उन्होंने कंपाइल करके एक नया फॉर्मेट दे दिया. उसके बाद भी और एक, जैसे अमेंडमेंट्स आते रहते हैं हमारे एक्ट्स में, और एक अमेंडमेंट आया है इन दैट फॉर्मेट, वाइड ऑर्डर नंबर 63. बट द फॉर्मेट इज नाउ वेरी मच स्टेबल. जो ऑर्डर नंबर 63 में अमेंडमेंट आया है, विच इज वेरी सिंपल, कि अगर द ट्रांजैक्शन इज फैसिलिटेटेड बाय द रियल एस्टेट एजेंट, तो रियल एस्टेट एजेंट को जो कोई भी पेमेंट कर रहा है, बीट द होम बायर और अलॉटी और बीट द प्रमोटर, वो जो भी जितना भी पेमेंट कर रहा है, दैट नीड डिटेल्स नीड टू बी फिल्ड इन द अग्रीमेंट नाउ from now onwards. The few clauses which are added very recently, I'll just talk about that. One is parking information, the measurements of parking, the number of parking, everything needs to be filled in. पहले लिटिगेशंस बहुत होते थे, बिकॉज ये इन्फॉर्मेशन नहीं थी। लिटिगेशंस महारेरा में बहुत हुए हैं कि मुझे ये पार्किंग स्पेस बोली गई थी, बट नाउ आई एम बीइंग अलॉटेड दिस, मुझे आगे का पार्किंग स्पेस दिया गया था ना, आई हैव बीन अलॉटेड समवेयर बिहाइंड। सो टू अवॉइड दिस लिटिगेशन एंड जस्ट टू हैव अ क्लैरिटी, they have now requested that all the details are filled in the agreement itself. Coming to the facilities and amenities, again बहुत सारे लिटिगेशंस हुए हैं इन महारेरा कि ये फैसिलिटीज बोली गई थी, ये एमिनिटीज बोली गई थी, बट इट इज डिलेड और इट इज नॉट बीन प्रोवाइडेड बाय द बिल्डर्स, एंड दे हैव रेडीमेड आंसर्स बाय प्रमोटर्स कि हाँ ये बिकॉज इसका परमिशन नहीं मिला, यहाँ पे स्पेस नहीं मिला, या जो भी इश्यूज थे। सो जस्ट टू अवॉइड दैट लिटिगेशंस, they have now made it mandatory कि ये सारी डिटेल्स अब in the agreement itself आप मेंशन कर दो। Again, all the three bank account details are required, so that the home buyer is being aware कि यही अकाउंट है जहाँ पे मुझे पैसे डिपॉजिट करने हैं, यही अकाउंट में ट्रांसफर करना है, मुझे और कोई अकाउंट में ट्रांसफर नहीं करना है। इसमें बहुत सारे क्लॉजेस है। सम क्लॉजेस आर नॉन निगोशिएबल क्लॉजेस, वेरिन आप जो प्रोफोर्मा जो दिया है डिपार्टमेंट ने, यू कैन नॉट डिविएट फ्रॉम दैट, आप कोई भी चेंजेस नहीं कर सकते हो। अदर क्लॉजेस जो नॉन निगोशिएबल नहीं है, जो नॉन निगोशिएबल है, सॉरी, उसमें आप डिविएशन कर सकते हो, बट फॉर दैट यू नीड टू फाइल अ डिविएशन रिपोर्ट विद स्पेसिफिक डिटेल्स कि दिस इज द क्लॉज, दिस इज द डिविएशन एंड दिस इज द रीजन फॉर डिविएशन। देर इज नो स्पेसिफिक फॉर्मेट फॉर डिविएशन रिपोर्ट, बट अगेन ऑन द लेटर हेड जहाँ पे प्रोजेक्ट की डिटेल्स है, द क्लॉज विच इज available in the pro forma, this is the revised clause and this can be the reason for revision. Coming to the pro forma allotment letter, very much on similar lines, again revised format उसी order में जिसमें pro forma agreement for sale दिया है। Few differences from allotment letter and model sale agreement. Allotment letter is on the letterhead जहाँ पे basic project details fill करनी compulsory है। This has to be signed and stamped by the promoter जो भी pro forma है। एंड अगेन जो नई डिटेल्स आई है इन सिमिलर लाइंस ऑफ अग्रीमेंट फॉर सेल, जो पार्किंग इंफॉर्मेशन है, जो बैंक अकाउंट डिटेल्स है, वो इसमें भी अलॉटमेंट लेटर में भी वो मेंशन करना कंपलसरी है। एंड लास्टली जितना भी पार्ट पेमेंट रिसीव हुआ है विथ डेट एंड अमाउंट, दैट नीड्स टू बी क्लियरली मेंशन। पहले सिर्फ अमाउंट मेंशन करना होता था इन जो पुराने फॉर्मेट में, but now date and amount when it was received and via which mode, all the details are required to be filled in. Similarly जो deviation होंगे उसके लिए एक deviation report फाइल करना होगा। Coming to the verification of commencement certificate, जैसे बोला था इंटर डिपार्टमेंटल करस्पॉन्डेंसेस बढ़ रहे हैं। फ्रॉम 2023 दे हैव मेड अ पॉइंट कि जो भी अथॉरिटीज है जो कमेंसमेंट सर्टिफिकेट इशू कर रहे हैं, दैट अथॉरिटी नीड्स टू मेल महारेरा, उन्होंने स्पेसिफिक डेजिग्नेटेड ईमेल आईडीज दिए हुए हैं, उनको डायरेक्टली मेल करना है महारेरा को कि वी हैव इशूड दिस सर्टिफिकेट, कमेंसमेंट सर्टिफिकेट टू सो एंड सो बिल्डर, सो दैट द कमेंसमेंट सर्टिफिकेट जो बिल्डर्स इशू जो बिल्डर्स अपलोड कर रहे हैं महारेरा पोर्टल पे, दैट कैन बी वेरीफाइड एंड चेक्ड। यहाँ पे और एक जब ये ऑर्डर आया था उसी में एक इम्पोर्टेंट क्लैरिफिकेशन या इम्पोर्टेंट पॉइंट उन्होंने नोट किया है रेरा ने। एज पर सेक्शन 5 अगर आप रजिस्ट्रेशन करते हो तो विद इन 30 डेज इधर आपको रजिस्ट्रेशन ग्रांट हो जाता है, और अगर कोई इनकम्प्लीट या कोई डिफेक्ट है तो उनकी जो भी क्वेरीज हैं वो उनको जो प्रमोटर है उनको कम्युनिकेट हो जानी चाहिए विद इन 30 डेज। इफ दैट इज नॉट द सिनेरियो तो आफ्टर 30 डेज इट इज डीम की रजिस्ट्रेशन उन्हें ग्रांट हो चुका है। सो अगर आपका एप्लीकेशन हो चुका है, 30 डेज हो चुका है, बट ये आपका जो मेल है वो आपकी अथॉरिटी ने अगर रेरा को नहीं किया हुआ है, then this 30 days period cannot be started and you cannot claim that I have received the registration on deemed basis. Once the mail is done to the Maharera and the application is submitted, only then those 30 days period is started. Coming to form 3, there are total 7 tables. It has to be issued by any other chartered accountant other than statutory chartered accountant. the simple reason might be there has to be a maker checker concept, because the chartered accountants issue certificate based on funds, the usage of funds, the amount of which is incurred. So it is very much important there has to be some kind of maker checker concept being made applicable. So again it should be accepted by the promoter. Just अगर चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट ने दिया आपने सिमिलर वो सेम टू सेम अपलोड कर दिया, then that form will not be considered as valid by the RERA. नीडलेस टू से यूडिन कंपलसरी होता है फॉर्म 3 के लिए. So coming into details of form 3, first table and second table consist of cost details. The first table consists of estimated cost details and second table consists of actual cost details. जैसे हमने बोला था दो कॉस्ट में डिवाइड होता है, एक लैंड कॉस्ट है एंड सेकेंड इज द डेवलपमेंट कॉस्ट. सो लैंड कॉस्ट में जो लैंड वैल्यू है विच इज असर्टेन्ड एज पर ASR rates as on the date of application, that is allowed as per RERA. जो भी प्रीमियम्स आप पे कर रहे हो in relation, whether it is in relation to the project, development rights, FSI, fungible FSI, to any statutory authorities in relation to land is included in the land cost is allowed. आपका TDR का जो कॉस्ट है ट्रांसफरेबल डेवलपमेंट राइट्स का, वो अलाउड है एज पर रेरा. एंड द कॉस्ट ऑफ रिहेबिलिटेशन स्कीम इन केस ऑफ रीडेवलपमेंट केसेस, जहाँ पे आपको जो टेनेंट्स है उनको नया जो फ्लैट कंस्ट्रक्ट करके देना है, तो कॉस्ट ऑफ कंस्ट्रक्शन फॉर दैट रीहैब बिल्डिंग या रीहैब पोर्शन ऑफ अ बिल्डिंग, दैट इज इंक्लूडेड इन द लैंड कॉस्ट. आपको जितने भी डिस्प्लेसमेंट कॉम्पेंसेशंस देने हैं, जितने भी प्रीमियम्स पे करने फॉर अंडरटेकिंग दोज रीडेवलपमेंट केसेस, all those are included in the land cost only and not in the cost of construction. इन केसेस जहाँ पे एक ही स्ट्रक्चर है, जहाँ पे आप रिहैब जो टेनेंट्स है उनको भी फ्लैट्स अलोकेट कर रहे हो एंड you are giving additional sale as well. So in that situation it is advisable कि based on area आप अपना cost of construction bifurcate कर दो. This cost of construction is also certified by the engineer based on physical progress. So also the estimates are also given by engineer. तो जो form 3 में जो consider होता है based on books of accounts or based on physical progress, whichever is minimum. So the total cost when we talk about actual cost which is incurred, so at that point जो engineer या chartered accountant जिसका भी जो minimum amount होगा that is to be considered and not the highest one. Coming to the cost of construction, again cost of construction जो engineer certify करता है, the chartered accountant certify करता है based on books of account, the minimum of that amount. If there is any other additional item which is not included in cost of construction, अगर engineer ने अपने certificate में कोई additional item का cost mention किया है, then that is allowed as per RERA. Coming to this, this is commonly known as the miscellaneous category, जहाँ पे promoters को चाहिए कि आप सारे के सारे बाकी के cost है ना, जितने भी overheads है आप उसमें डाल दो the cost of development which is excluding the cost of construction. They have given certain examples, जो consultant fees है, salaries है, overheads है, जो site के overheads है, or the cost of services. RERA is very clear and they have already clarified कि जो सेल के जितने भी costs हैं that are not to be included here. आपके जो admin overheads है that cannot be included here and that cannot be used for increasing the withdrawal limits. Then coming to the any kind of taxes or fees which is payable to the statutory authority for construction is allowed as per RERA. And lastly जो भी interest आप pay करते हो loan पे, but that loan has to be taken either from financial institutions, scheduled banks, NBFC or lenders for the construction, only that interest amount is allowed as per RERA. Coming to the other parts of table B, the total cost or the total actual cost considered, उसको आप जो जितना भी विड्रॉ हो चुका है टिल डेट, जो आपके डेजिग्नेटेड सेपरेट बैंक अकाउंट से ऑलरेडी पेमेंट हो चुके हैं, आप वो माइनस करोगे तो आपको विड्रॉवेबल लिमिट आ जाएगी. विड्रॉवेबल लिमिट मीन्स कि आप ये अमाउंट जो भी रेरा में अलाउड है वो सारे खर्चों के लिए आप यूज कर सकते हो. दैट इज द विड्रॉवेबल लिमिट विच इज कैलकुलेटेड the total cost incurred minus the amount which is actually withdrawn till date from the start of the RERA. आपका जब भी RERA जब से स्टार्ट हुआ है तब से लेके जितना आप जिस दिन पे सर्टिफिकेट जब जो डेट के लिए सर्टिफिकेट दे रहे हो up to that date the withdrawable limit is calculated. The proportion of जो कितना परसेंटेज ऑफ प्रोजेक्ट कंप्लीट हुआ है, दैट इज अ मैथमेटिकल कैलकुलेशन, जो एक्चुअल कॉस्ट जो इनकर हुआ है डिवाइडेड बाय द टोटल एस्टिमेटेड कॉस्ट, देन यू गेट द परसेंटेज ऑफ एक्चुअल कंप्लीशन ऑफ द प्रोजेक्ट। कमिंग टू टेबल सी, टेबल सी में इन्वेंट्री डिटेल्स देनी है, सोल्ड एंड अनसोल्ड इन्वेंट्री। जो इन्वेंट्री सोल्ड एट द टाइम ऑफ रजिस्ट्रेशन, यहाँ पे आइडियली जीरो कोई भी आना नहीं चाहिए, बट इन केसेस ऑफ रीडेवलपमेंट जितना भी सेल उनको कर दिया है, दैट डिटेल्स नीड्स टू बी फिल्ड इन अगेन। ओनली सैंक्शन पोर्शन के जो डिटेल्स है वो ही फिल कर सकते हो। ओनली दैट कि अगर किसी टेनेंट को आपने अबाउ द सैंक्शन पोर्शन, जैसे हम लोगों ने 10 फ्लोर्स और 20 फ्लोर्स का एग्जांपल लिया, इफ यू हैव अलॉटेड एनी फ्लैट टू द टेनेंट in, like say for example 19th floor, then that details also needs to be filled in, so to have a fair declaration, but that cost cannot be filled in the cost details. Coming to the amounts, जो unit consideration है, that should not include pass through charges and indirect taxes. Pass through charges basically means आपने फॉर एग्जांपल स्टैम्प ड्यूटी जो अथॉरिटीज को पे करनी होती है, आपने कलेक्ट किया आपके टेनेंट से या बायर से, देन दैट अमाउंट कैन नॉट बी इंक्लूडेड इन दिस, विच इज वेरी फेयर। ये यहाँ पे सिर्फ और सिर्फ जो आपके जो आपके जो फ्लैट हो गया या अपार्टमेंट हो गया, उनकी जो कॉस्ट है सिर्फ और सिर्फ वो ही आनी चाहिए। एनी अदर चार्जेस जो कि ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ सोसाइटी अगर प्रमोटर कलेक्ट कर रहा है, दैट चार्जेस कैन नॉट बी फिल्ड इन ईयर। अगेन इनडायरेक्ट टैक्सेस, जीएसटी अगर आप अपने कस्टमर से लेते हो तो दैट कैन नॉट बी फिल्ड इन ईयर। Coming to unsold inventory का amount they have compulsorily required कि ready reckoner rates के हिसाब से उनका unit consideration calculate होगा, which is very fair, क्योंकि अगर promoters को उनका फ्री हैंड दे दिया तो देर माइट बी कि ये जो नेक्स्ट टेबल है जो हम लोग देखेंगे जहाँ पे कॉस्ट एंड रिसीवेबल्स हम चेक कर रहे हैं, देर कैन बी एन इन्फ्लेटेड वैल्यू जो कि फ्यूचर में शायद ना भी हो। रेडी रेकनर रेट्स आर वेरी लॉजिकल एंड बेसिक अमाउंट जिसके मतलब जिसके बिलो रजिस्टर ये सेल होना इज समथिंग नॉट वेरी कॉमन या प्रैक्टिकली नहीं होता है। कमिंग टू कंपैरिजन बिटवीन कॉस्ट एंड रिसीवेबल, बेसिकली जितना जो कॉस्ट बाकी है जो इनकर करने के लिए एंड जितने रिसीवेबल्स है, बीट फ्रॉम सोल्ड इन्वेंट्री या अनसोल्ड इन्वेंट्री एज पर रेडी रेकनर रेट, वो कंपेयर होता है। एंड देन द अमाउंट विच इज रिक्वायर्ड टू बी डिपॉजिटेड इन द रेरा डेजिग्नेटेड बैंक अकाउंट, जो 70% अकाउंट जो कॉमनली बोलते हैं, वहां पे 70% जाने चाहिए कि 100% ऑफ द फंड्स जाने चाहिए, दैट इज डिसाइडेड बेस्ड ऑन दिस टेबल। इनिशियल प्रोजेक्ट्स में जब भी आपका सेल नहीं होता है, जब भी रेडी रेकनर रेट पे अनसोल्ड इन्वेंट्री कैलकुलेट होता है, तभी 100% इज रिक्वायर्ड, बट एज एंड व्हेन द प्रोजेक्ट प्रोग्रेसेस, आपकी जैसे जैसे सेल होते हैं मोर देन द रेडी रेकनर रेट, देन द लिमिट कम्स डाउन टू द 70%। ये जो अमाउंट टू बी डिपॉजिटेड इन डेजिग्नेटेड बैंक अकाउंट है, दिस टैब नीड नॉट बी फिल्ड इन एट द टाइम ऑफ रजिस्ट्रेशन, बट ऑन गोइंग जितने भी उसके बाद के फॉर्म 3 इशू होते हैं वो सब में ये परसेंटेज फिल करना कंपलसरी होता है। कमिंग टू द डेजिग्नेटेड बैंक अकाउंट डिटेल्स, फ्रॉम द स्टार्ट ऑफ बैंक अकाउंट टिल डेट, आपको अपने बैंक अकाउंट में जितने ओपनिंग विड्रॉवल डिपॉजिट क्लोजिंग है वो डालने हैं। देन नीड्स आफ्टर दैट टेबल देर आर 2 सर्टिफिकेशन विच इज रिक्वायर्ड। फर्स्ट इज कि जितने अमाउंट्स डिपॉजिट जो डिपॉजिट होने चाहिए थे, जो बायर से कलेक्ट हुए, जो डिपॉजिट होने चाहिए थे रेरा डेजिग्नेटेड बैंक अकाउंट में, वो एक्चुअली हुए हैं कि नहीं। सो यहाँ पे चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट्स को बहुत बार ऐसा लगता है कि अरे सिंपल मैथमेटिकल कैलकुलेशन है, मैंने यहाँ पे डिपॉजिट्स का अमाउंट डाला हुआ है, ऊपर मैंने टेबल में ये रिसीवेबल्स का अमाउंट डाला हुआ था, तो एनीबडी कैन कंपेयर इट, बट देयर इज अ पॉसिबिलिटी कि आपके होम बायर्स के जो फंड्स है वो कहीं और अकाउंट में गए हो, एंड इधर कोई लोन फंड्स है या फिर कोई ओन फंड्स है ऑफ द प्रमोटर्स, दैट आर डिपॉजिटेड इन द डेजिग्नेटेड बैंक अकाउंट। सो देयर इज अ पॉसिबिलिटी कि ये अमाउंट्स आप जो मैथमेटिकल कैलकुलेशन के बेस पे करोगे वो शायद करेक्ट ना हो, विच इज वाई दे हैव रिक्वायर्ड दे रिक्वायर द चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट्स टू सर्टिफाई कि जितने होम बायर से आने चाहिए थे वो डेजिग्नेटेड बैंक अकाउंट में जो जाने चाहिए थे, आर दे गोइंग इन दैट अकाउंट ओनली और नॉट। एंड सेकेंडली, ये जो विड्रॉ हो रहे, जो यूटिलाइज हो रहे हैं, दैट आर टू बी यूटिलाइज फॉर दोज अमाउंट्स विच आर अलाउड एज पर रेरा, जो लैंड कॉस्ट एंड डेवलपमेंट कॉस्ट है ऑफ दिस प्रोजेक्ट ओनली, वो उसी में यूटिलाइज हो रहे हैं कि वो कहीं और यूटिलाइज हो रहे हैं। जहां पे मोर देन वन प्रोजेक्ट होते हैं प्रमोटर्स के, अगर उन्होंने एक प्रोजेक्ट के फंड दूसरे प्रोजेक्ट में, जो कि पहले बहुत बहुत कॉमन होता था, अगर ये हो रहा है, देन चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट्स नीड्स टू सर्टिफाई दैट कि जो फंड्स है वो दूसरे प्रोजेक्ट्स में जा रहे हैं, वो यहाँ पे यूज नहीं हो रहे। सो देयर इज some problem with this, and there can be major problems in future related to project. Coming to means of finance, how this project is financed, तीन amounts देने होते हैं. First is estimation at the time of registration. This column has to be same throughout all the form 3s throughout the project life. As and when project progresses, possible है own funds या borrowed funds का proportion change हो जाए because of any conditions, and या फिर customer receipts थोड़े ज़्यादा बढ़ गए हैं तो the own funds or the loan funds are reduced then. So just to keep a track that how the project was estimated to be financed and now how the project is actually being financed, these three amounts are required. The cost amount, the estimated cost should be tallying with the table A above. And lastly, comments and observations table. Usual comments जो होते हैं, firstly estimates जो होते हैं, the chartered accountants cannot certify the estimates. So एक comment which is very common and should be included is like कि जो estimates हैं are prepared and certified by the promoters. द सेकेंडली जहाँ पे ऑनगोइंग फॉर्म 3 होते हैं, आपने अगर फॉर एग्जांपल कोई यूनिट ऑलरेडी सेल में दिखा दिया फॉर एनी रीजन, इफ दैट अग्रीमेंट इज कैंसल्ड, so then that again has to go back to the unsold inventory table. Then that needs to be clarified कि पहले ये था अभी ये है, that is because of so and so cancellation date, so that all the disclosures are fairly shown in the form 3. Coming to the submission part, how it works at the back end, थोड़ा detailed and documentation जो कुछ भी require था for promoters we have now completed. Now coming to the submission, how it works at the back end of the RERA department. आप जैसे ही सारी डिटेल्स एंड डॉक्यूमेंटेशन डाल देते हो तो द पेमेंट टैब अलाउज यू टू मेक पेमेंट. अगर कोई डॉक्यूमेंट नहीं डाला या कोई डिटेल नहीं डाला या डॉक्यूमेंट अपलोड नहीं किया, then it will not allow you to make the payment. Once you make the payment, application goes to the RERA department. How it works at RERA department, वहां पे 4 desk है. Desk 1 consists of 3 departments: legal, technical and finance. ये department अपना individual scrutiny करता है. They, for example, a finance department has no right to see the legal title report. जो finance के related है उनको उनके end पे उतना ही दिखता है. So in case if you have uploaded some document which is related to legal, or in the other finance tab or other technical tab, you will get the query कि ये document आपने upload नहीं किया. आपका contention promoter को क्या होता है कि अरे मैंने ये upload तो किया है, but you have uploaded it in the wrong tab. So they cannot see that document, so they are bound to give you the scrutiny remarks. All the three departments individually scrutinize the application, and if they feel that application is complete, they send it to the next desk 2. Desk 2 में senior officials of all the 3 departments बैठते हैं. They again scrutinize it thoroughly in all the respects. Once they find it that it is completely complete in all respects, they send it to the third desk. Third desk पे ये secretary बैठते हैं. Again they also scrutinize it, and if they found it correct, they send it to desk 4 जहाँ पे chairperson बैठते हैं. The chairperson is the final authority. अगर उन्हें at any point या any desk feels any point कि ये point पे there is a clarification required either from lower desk or from the promoter, they can directly send to the promoter or also send to the lower departments again कि ये चीजें आप एक बार scrutinize कर लो या ये check कर लो. And if that is okay, desk 4 पे clear होके आपको within 2 to 3 working days practically आपको RERA registration certificate issue हो जाता है. But nowadays, as they are becoming more and more stringent, scrutiny remarks are very much common thing. कोई भी डिटेल मिसमैच होता है फ्रॉम द सैंक्शन प्लान्स, या फिर जो डॉक्यूमेंटेशन एंड डिटेल्स कॉन्ट्राडिक्टरी होते हैं या डॉक्यूमेंटेशन इंटर कॉन्ट्राडिक्टरी होते हैं, सो देन दे हैव रीसबमिशन प्रोसेस. स्टार्टिंग में द प्रोजेक्ट्स यूज्ड टू गो फॉर रीसबमिशन एन नंबर ऑफ टाइम्स. तो रेरा डिपार्टमेंट का बहुत टाइम वेस्ट होता था वहां पे. एक ही क्वेरी दे हैड टू जस्ट run through again and again and again and again. So in 2022, they came up with a standard operating process. They issued the direction how the incomplete applications will be dealt in. They have given 4 scenarios. सबसे पहले सिनेरियो 1, जहां पे अगर फर्स्ट टाइम आपने सबमिट किया एंड दे फाइंड दिस डॉक्यूमेंट इज इनकम्प्लीट और दे रिक्वायर मोर इन्फॉर्मेशन इन रिलेशन टू एनीथिंग, they will send you the scrutiny remarks, which is available on the portal as also, and also received on your mail as well. Once you have received the remark, you can have a contact to the SRO department. They play a major role in cases where resubmission. आप उनको पूछ सकते हो कि exactly क्या details documentations are required by RERA. आप उनकी query extend कर सकते हो. बहुत बार रेरा के जो वहां से जो queries आती है, that is ambiguous. You cannot understand it or you cannot decode it at times. So you need somebody who will guide you कि exactly कहाँ पे क्या problem है रेरा को, and that is done very clearly by the SRO department. कमिंग टू सिनारियो 2, अगर वो जो भी डिफेक्ट है आपने वो सब अपलोड करके क्लियर करके, इफ यू हैव रीसबमिटेड द एप्लीकेशन एंड नाउ डिपार्टमेंट फील्स कि नाउ एवरीथिंग इज फाइन, they will send it to other desk for approval and it will be approved at last at desk 4. अगर उस टाइम पे भी उनको लगा कि ये जो भी स्क्रूटिनी आई थी, जो रिमार्क्स आए थे, दैट इज नॉट बीन प्रॉपरली कंप्लाइंट, उनको और भी कुछ डिटेल्स चाहिए या जो डॉक्यूमेंटेशन आए हैं वो दैट इज नॉट ओके टू देम, सो दे विल अगेन सेंड यू द स्क्रूटिनी रिमार्क्स एट एनी पॉइंट. ऐसे जरूरी नहीं है कि पहले जो 2 स्क्रूटिनी रिमार्क्स आए थे उसी पे बात चलेगी. देयर इज अ पॉसिबिलिटी कि पहले 2 आए थे, नाउ देयर कैन बी 3, देयर कैन बी 1 विच इज ऑल टुगेदर डिफरेंट फ्रॉम दोज initial remarks. So if there are new queries, then that goes to scenario 1 again. मतलब ऐसा नहीं होता है कि अगर उन्होंने लास्ट में जो क्वेरी निकाली उसको they will consider in scenario 2, they consider it in scenario 1 only. Coming to scenario 3, again जब आप resubmission कर देते हो, if they found it this time that it is okay, they send it for further approval. But again, if this point at this point after submitting it the second time, if there is any defect still pending, yeah, if they need any clarification or any clarification is not considered as justified by them, then they will again send it for resubmission. And also now they will send a link to your SRO कि आप उनको प्रमोटर को बोलो कि ये डेट एंड टाइम पे ओपन हाउस मीटिंग अटेंड करे. They will themselves attend that meeting and make you understand that this is the problem, there is this query, we need this documentation, this is how you need to reply. And once you attend that open house, within 7 days you need to file the resubmission application. After that, if the application is again considered as okay, it is sent for approval. But at this point meeting attend करने के बाद भी अगर आपने जो documentation दी है that is not okay to the RERA department, now they will send this for resubmission. They will again send you the link for attending the public open house meeting. But at this point वो penalty levy करना चालू कर देंगे. 25% of the registration fees जो आपने भरी होगी, that needs to be paid first and only then you can further resubmit the application. Practically RERA has started levying this penalty. And also अगर this time after attending the open house meeting for second time, अगर आपकी जो भी resubmission application है is still not free of defects, then the penalty increases to 40%. अगर उसके बाद भी अगर जो रीसबमिट हुआ है वो उसके बाद भी जो डिफेक्ट्स आर नॉट टू देयर सेटिस्फैक्शन करेक्टेड, then they send it to the other desk for appropriate orders, which is they cancel the registration application, and now the promoters are required to file an altogether new registration application. Coming to the project updation, we will look into the documents first. जो compliances करने होते हैं other than those were required in at the time of registration, जो नए documents अभी upload करने होते हैं, we'll start with form 5, which is a chartered accountant annual report. This has to be issued by the statutory chartered accountant. four tables, deposits, withdrawal, utilization and comments table. Again same very much similar table कि कितना amount collect करना चाहिए था from allottees, as per percentage कितना है, what is the actual deposited and what is the shortfall or excess. यहाँ पे भी एवरीबडी फील्स दैट कि जो नीचे जो रिपोर्ट रिक्वायर्ड है, जो सर्टिफिकेशन रिक्वायर्ड है बाय द चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट कि जितना प्रोपोर्शन डिपॉजिट होना चाहिए था वो उतना हुआ है कि नहीं, this is not required because here to they clearly mention the amount which is deposited in the RERA designated bank account, but this shortfall or excess can be फ्रेम्ड और मैनिपुलेटेड कि आप जो अमाउंट्स है जो होम बायर्स के हैं वो आपने कहीं दूसरे अकाउंट में लिए हैं एंड द अमाउंट ऑफ द लोन फंड और ओन फंड्स आर एक्चुअली डिपॉजिट इन द RERA designated bank account. So this certification becomes important. This is the same certificate as certification as form 3, just to have a maker checker concept, which because it is very important कि जो funds जो प्रोजेक्ट के लिए रिसीव हो रहे हैं, जो होम बायर्स ने जिस प्रोजेक्ट में पैसे डाले हैं वो उसी प्रोजेक्ट के लिए यूज हो रहे हैं कि नहीं, वो उसी में डिपॉजिट हो रहे हैं कि नहीं, पहले तो. सेकेंडली विड्रॉवल्स, सिमिलर टेबल जो फॉर्म 3 में था, जो बैंक डेजिग्नेटेड बैंक अकाउंट का. अगेन द अमाउंट्स विच आर विड्रॉन आर एज पर द विड्रॉवेबल लिमिट्स और नॉट. विड्रॉवेबल लिमिट्स आर बेस्ड ऑन द फॉर्म 3 जो है, और ऑल्सो बेस्ड ऑन फिजिकल प्रोग्रेस जो फॉर्म 1 and 2 है. If that is withdrawn beyond the withdrawable limits, then that is a violation as per RERA. प्रेजेंटली पेनल्टी लेवी करना स्टार्ट नहीं किया है, बट देयर इज अ पेनल्टी ऑन प्रमोटर कि आप अगर विड्रॉवेबल लिमिट से एक्सीड कर दोगे. सो कभी कौन सा अमाउंट विड्रॉवेबल लिमिट से एक्सीड हुआ, दैट ऑल्सो नीड्स टू बी मेंशन्ड इन फॉर्म 5. सो बेस्ड ऑन दैट रेरा लेवीज द पेनल्टी. कमिंग टू यूटिलाइजेशन, जो विड्रॉ होने के बाद वेदर इट इज एक्चुअली यूटिलाइज फॉर द पर्पज ऑफ प्रोजेक्ट ओनली, सिमिलर सर्टिफिकेशन एज दैट ऑफ फॉर्म 3. If the report is negative, then date and amount not utilized is required to be mentioned. Again, any kind of qualification or observation needs to be needs to be filled in table D. Should be accepted by the promoters, otherwise it is not accepted as valid form. Needless to say, UDIN is compulsory for chartered accountants. Coming to the other miscellaneous category of documents, as we all discussed, form 2A is issued by site engineer quality check के लिए जो materials, workmanship या for ये fixtures and fittings जो use हो रहे हैं, that are based on the standard qualities or not. The second, then it is occupancy certificate and form 4. जब भी आपका प्रोजेक्ट कंप्लीट हो जाता है, at that time 2 documents are required, occupancy certificate and architect certificate in form 4. जो बहुत सारे बार ये होता है कि occupancy certificates are received in part. So अगर वो part में आई है, then form 4 cannot be issued and also the project cannot be considered as completed. ये प्रैक्टिकली पॉसिबल है कि बिल्डिंग जो है वो पूरा कंस्ट्रक्ट हो चुका है, पोजीशन सबको दे दिया है, बट ऑक्यूपेंसी सर्टिफिकेट सिर्फ कुछ पार्ट ऑफ फ्लोर्स या कुछ पार्ट के लिए ही आए हैं, देन द प्रोजेक्ट कैन नॉट बी कंसिडर एज कंप्लीटेड दो दे हैव रिसीव्ड द पोजीशन. इफ यू डू नॉट हैव अ वैलिड ऑक्यूपेंसी सर्टिफिकेट, आपका रजिस्ट्रेशन कंप्लीट नहीं होता है. यू नीड टू कंप्लीट द ऑनगोइंग कंप्लायंसेस अंटिल यू रिसीव द फाइनल ऑक्यूपेंसी, फुल फाइनल ऑक्यूपेंसी सर्टिफिकेट, and only thereafter architect certificate in form 4 can be issued. Occupancy certificate same as the commencement certificate, जो authority जो issue करते हैं जो final occupancy certificate, they have to mail to RERA that they have issued this occupancy certificate, and only after receiving that mail, receiving OC and form 4, the project will be considered as completed, and your RERA registration needs to be valid on the date of receipt of occupancy certificate as well as the architect certificate. पॉसिबल है कि वो एक महीने पहले या थोड़े दिन पहले ही उनका RERA registration expire हो चुका है, and thereafter you have received the occupancy certificate and form 4. So in that situation you need to go for an extension process. आपको extension के लिए application करना होगा. Thereafter when you receive the extension, only thereafter you can upload these documents and then proper RERA में completion हो सकता है आपका प्रोजेक्ट का. लास्टली कन्वेंस फॉर्मेशन ऑफ सोसाइटी का जो डॉक्यूमेंट्स है, बीट कन्वेंस डीड या बीट डिक्लेरेशन, दैट इज ऑल्सो प्रिपेयर्ड बाय देयर लॉ एडवोकेट्स एंड ऑल. and which is duly registered. So all that documents also needs to be uploaded on RERA, so that they are aware कि ये जो society form हुई है वो कब form हुई है, कब conveyance हुआ है, so that only after all these documents are uploaded the completion of project can be considered. कमिंग टू द रिक्वायरमेंट्स, कितने कंप्लायंसेस, द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग, कितने कंप्लायंसेस है, कब कौन सा कंप्लायंस करना जरूरी है. सो टोटल 7 टाइप ऑफ कंप्लायंसेस: एनुअल, क्वार्टरली, अपडेशन फॉर विड्रॉल फ्रॉम मनी फ्रॉम डेजिग्नेटेड बैंक अकाउंट, अदर रेगुलर अपडेट्स मतलब जो एज एंड व्हेन चेंज होता है तभी करने होते हैं, अपॉन कंप्लीशन एंड अपॉन कन्वेंस ऑफ द प्रोजेक्ट. The first one is the annual update. Annual update में two forms है, form 5 and form 2A. We have looked into the detail of form 5 and what is required in form 2A. The due date for annual report is within 6 months, that is the 30th September, and due date of form 2A is within 3 months, which is 30th June of every year. Coming to quarterly updates, the quarterly updates needs to be filled within 20 days from the end of quarter, so that for January to March it becomes 20th April. The updates to be included practically form 1, 2 and 3 are uploaded here after every quarter, but they as per act they require the physical progress, the financial progress, the details which are to be filled in, which were filled in at the time of registration, that needs to be updated. The incremental changes and any plans or approvals and the present status, जो जो जैसे आपके अपार्टमेंट्स या फिर फ्लैट्स जो सेल हो रहे हैं, जो गैराजेस बुक हो रहे हैं, उनकी डिटेल्स अपडेट करनी है. Updating for withdrawal of money from designated bank account, whenever you need to increase your जो withdrawable limit है वो खत्म हो चुकी है, you need to increase, you need to ask all the 3 professionals to issue their certificate, form 1, 2 and 3. कमिंग टू रेगुलर अपडेट्स, वेरी मच लॉजिकल कि ये सारी डिटेल्स क्योंकि बहुत ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है, यू कैन नॉट वेट फॉर क्वार्टर टू एंड और द ईयर टू एंड सो दैट दिस डिटेल्स आर अपडेटेड. सो एनकम्बरेंस रिपोर्ट, सरसाई रिपोर्ट्स एज एंड व्हेन इट चेंजेस, एज ऑलरेडी इन्फॉर्म 10 days से पुराना सरसाई रिपोर्ट नहीं चलता है, सो दैट नीड्स टू बी अपडेटेड एज एंड व्हेन इट इज चेंज. एनी काइंड ऑफ प्रोफेशनल डिटेल्स विच इज इफ यू चेंज योर चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट और engineer, that needs to be updated immediately. Any kind of litigations in relation to the project, not only just in Maharera, that needs to be updated immediately. If that is already updated, any change in the status, that also needs to be updated immediately. And also all the documents in relation to the formation of society and legal entity, that needs to be updated as and when it is done. uh, Coming to the completion of project, form 4 an occupancy certificate is required, and on the conveyance, along with the conveyance deed, a disclosure is required from the promoter and the association of allottees. Association of allottees means जहाँ पे maximum number of allottees है, be it home buyer and including tenant, more than 50% of allottees एक साथ होते हैं, उन्हें association of allottees बोला जाता है under RERA. कमिंग टू द एप्लीकेशन फॉर चेंज, 3 डिटेल्स जो कि ऑलरेडी हम लोगों ने एट द टाइम ऑफ रजिस्ट्रेशन और अपडेशन जो अपडेट की होती है, प्रमोटर्स डिटेल्स, प्रोजेक्ट इन्फॉर्मेशन एंड एस्टिमेटेड कॉस्ट डिटेल्स. अगर ये 3 डिटेल्स में कुछ भी चेंजेस करने हैं, देन यू नीड टू फाइल अ चेंज एप्लीकेशन. फॉर प्रमोटर्स दे हैव मेंशन्ड इन सेक्शन 15 कि जहाँ पे मेजर असेट्स एंड लायबिलिटीज जो चेंज हो रही है डेजिग्नेटेड प्रमोटर की, if that is the scenario, then you need to take approval of the allottees as well and of the authority as well. So first, practically you need to first go to the allottees, take consent of prior written consent of allottees, which is 2/3 of the allottees. And thereafter upload everything to the RERA department, and once it is been approved by the RERA department, only then the promoters assets and liabilities and rights and everything can be changed. Thereafter any kind of project information, अगर आपके number of structures change हो रहे हैं, जो आपकी जो designated bank accounts है वो change हो रही है, या जितनी भी जो project details हम लोगों ने upload की है उसमें अगर कोई भी change हो रहा है, then again first consent of 2/3 of allottees is required. Thereafter change application and approval of authority is required. Minimum जो slight here and there typographical errors है वो सिर्फ authority के approval से हो जाता है, but that needs to be genuine typographical single error only. Otherwise, the consent of two-third allottees is compulsorily required. Coming to the estimated cost details पब्लिक इंफॉर्मेशन नहीं है, एंड विच इज वेरी लॉजिकल कि अगर कॉस्ट चेंज करना है तो आपको अलॉटीज का कंसेंट लेना कंपलसरी नहीं होना चाहिए आइडियली, एंड विच इज ऑल्सो देयर इन द रेरा कि वहां पे हम अलॉटीज का कंसेंट नहीं लेंगे, बट यू नीड टू फाइल जो आपका 1 2 3 फॉर्म है, आप तीनों आर्किटेक्ट, इंजीनियर एंड चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट के सर्टिफिकेट अपलोड कीजिए along with one declaration कि नया estimated cost ये है and for so and so reason this cost has to be changed. So only that you need to file the application. आप एक बार जैसे ही change application file करते हो, practically आपका project वापस से पूरा scrutinize होता है. So in case you have missed any compliances or you have not filed any reports or not updated any details, they will not accept this change unless you go and submit the complete that compliances or the details to be updated. Only thereafter this application is considered as valid. Similarly वो जो भी details वगैरह जो होते हैं वो scrutiny remark से आते हैं, वो in similar situation से आते हैं जैसे at the time of registration था, all 4 days से जाते हैं, at any time they can send the scrutiny remarks. रजिस्ट्रेशन एंड चेंज एप्लीकेशन का प्रोसेस ऑलमोस्ट सिमिलर है, जस्ट वन चेंज इज देयर कि वहां पे जब भी पेनल्टी 25% एंड 40% थी, यहाँ पे दैट इज 5,000 फॉर एवरी सिनेरियो. Coming to the project extension, most of the promoters feel कि अरे मैंने तो मेरे सारे एफर्ट्स दिए थे पर फिर भी प्रोजेक्ट नहीं हो पा रहा है कंप्लीट, बट जस्ट सेइंग और जस्ट mere declaration on letterhead, nowadays RERA don't accept. They have become now very much stringent about extensions. हम अगर एक्ट वाइज बात करें तो एप्लीकेशन नीड्स टू बी डन एज पर रूल 7 है इनफॉर्म ई. एक्सटेंशन की बात सेक्शन 6 में की गई है ऑफ द रेरा एक्ट. वहां पे 1 ईयर का एक्सटेंशन ग्रांट हो सकता है बाय द रेरा अथॉरिटी, मैक्सिमम 1 ईयर का हो सकता है. ऑल्सो ड्यू टू फोर्स मेजर विच इज लाइक कि कोई वॉर हो गया या कोई नेचुरल कैलामिटीज हो गए तो वहां पे उस टाइम पे एक्सटेंशन ग्रांट हो सकते हैं बाय द रेरा अथॉरिटी, बट द एप्लीकेशन नीड्स टू बी फाइल इन बाय द प्रमोटर. एंड मैक्सिमम अगर ये फोर्स मेजर का रीजन नहीं है, अदर रीजन है, देन मैक्सिमम 1 ईयर का एक्सटेंशन रेरा दे सकता है. देयर आफ्टर दे टॉक अबाउट रिवोकेशन इन सेक्शन 7 की अगर उस टाइम पे कंप्लीट नहीं हुआ, देन विद द कंसेंट ऑफ अलॉटीज दे कैन रिवोक द प्रोजेक्ट फ्रॉम प्रमोटर्स. प्रैक्टिकली जब भी प्रोजेक्ट 80-90% कंप्लीट हो चुका है, वहां पे रिवोकेशन के सेक्शंस एप्लीकेबल करना इज लिटिल बिट हार्श फ्रॉम फॉर द इंटरेस्ट ऑफ अलॉटीज ओनली. अगर 1 या 2 साल का एक्सटेंशन प्रमोटर को दे के उनको अगर they are getting the possession thereafter, so practically RERA looks into that and they give extensions beyond 1 year as well, but only in those scenarios जहाँ पे it is in the interest of allotee and not in the interest of promoter. जब extensions की बात आती है, they are very much centric from the point of view of allottees and home buyer कि उन्हें कोई तकलीफ नहीं होनी चाहिए. Their rights and their interests are protected in every situation. सो वहां पे अलॉटी एसोसिएशन जो है जहाँ पे मेजोरिटीज ऑफ अलॉटीज होते हैं, उनका कंसेंट लेके उनको मोर देन 1 ईयर का भी एक्सटेंशन ग्रांट होता है. चेंज एप्लीकेशन के लिए 2/3 कंसेंट कंपलसरी है. फॉर एक्सटेंशन 51% कंसेंट इज ओके. जो कंसेंट उनका लेना होता है अलॉटीज का फॉर एक्सटेंशन, इट इज ऑल्सो द फॉर्मेट इज स्पेसिफाइड इन सर्कुलर नंबर 28. उसी के जो फॉर्मेट है उसी में उनका जो डिटेल्स है कि कभी एग्जैक्टली अभी नाउ प्रोजेक्ट कंप्लीट होगा, जो प्रोजेक्ट जितने अलॉटीज है उनको उनका जो नेम है, फ्लैट नंबर है, सिग्नेचर है, वेरी मच स्टैंडर्ड फॉर्मेट, यही फॉर्मेट में आपको अपलोड करना है. कमिंग टू अ सिनेरियो जहाँ पे अलॉटीज नहीं देते हैं कंसेंट ड्यू टू मेनी रीजन. वन माइट बी कि अगर किसी ने फॉर एनी अदर रीजन अगर कोई कंप्लेंट फाइल की है महारेरा में अगेंस्ट द प्रमोटर, उनको क्या लगेगा कि अरे मैंने अगर यहाँ पे उनको कंसेंट दे दिया तो मेरा तो कंप्लेंट नहीं सुनेंगे महारेरा क्योंकि मैंने तो एक्सटेंशन दे दिया. आई एम टू कोऑपरेटिंग टू प्रमोटर, एवरीथिंग माइट बी ओके, सो आई विल नॉट गिव यू द कंसेंट. इन दैट सिनेरियो पॉसिबल है कि प्रमोटर ने सारे एफर्ट्स जेन्युइनली डाले हैं है, 80-90% ऑफ द प्रोजेक्ट भी कंप्लीट हो चुका है, 10-20% फॉर एनी रीजन वो बाकी है, विच कैन बी completed in like 1-2 years. So in the interest of allotee, the promoters make application to the RERA ki though I have not received the majority consent, but I'll give you the documents and declaration, जो दो declaration है, which proves कि मैंने सारे efforts डाले हुए हैं. I have requested the allottees, I have done so and so things, only few things like so and so which can be done like in 1 to 3 steps. ये ऐसा हो कि ये project complete कर सकता हूँ मैं. So in that scenario also RERA allows extension. जो दो declaration है, one on the letterhead, why they have not obtained the consent, there can be n number of reasons for n number of allottees, and the list of efforts which are already taken by the promoter for taking their consent. Secondly, reason why the application should be considered without taking consent. So there can be a reason कि प्रोजेक्ट मेरा 90-95% कंप्लीट हो चुका है, just 5-10% is remaining for so and so thing, this can be completed like in a year or two. So that is it is in the interest of allotee only कि मुझे ये प्रोजेक्ट कंप्लीट करने की अपॉर्चुनिटी मिले. The details of complaints which are filed and explanatory notes of CPM charts, which is कि आप कैसे क्या कौन से दिन पे what will be the first step, what will be the second step of the planning details, how you will go about it and complete the project, and a notarized declaration जहाँ पे three major points. One is extension will not jeopardize the rights that accrue in favor of allotee. Second, the promoter is bound by the terms and conditions imposed by the promoters, imposed on the promoters by the authority, and the decision of authority will be final in all scenario. So they cannot compel the RERA authorities कि नहीं आप मुझे registration extension दे ही दो. If the authority feels that it is not appropriate for the authorities to grant them registration, they will not grant registration to the promoter. Coming to the real estate agent, comparatively from promoter, ये बहुत छोटा मॉड्यूल है. The details to be filled in are very simple and very basic. Anybody can fill in themselves. The website is different. Promoter मॉड्यूल जो old website पे था, real estate agent and complaint मॉड्यूल new website पे, which is rerit.maharashtra.gov.in. बेसिक लॉगिन क्रिएट करना है, सिमिलर टू दैट ऑफ प्रमोटर. पर्सनल डिटेल्स जो आपकी नेम, पैन, आधार, एड्रेस, कॉन्टैक्ट डिटेल्स, पास्ट एक्सपीरियंस डिटेल्स, आपने जिस भी प्रमोटर के साथ जो भी प्रोजेक्ट के लिए काम किया है उनकी डिटेल डालना कंपलसरी है. branch details, if you have any kind of branches, then that details needs to be filled in. Coming to training details, ये अभी headache बन चुका है for real estate agent. पहले तो क्या था, सिर्फ details documents जो बहुत simple और बहुत easy है, आप वो डाल दो, आपको रेरा रजिस्ट्रेशन सर्टिफिकेट मिल जाएगा. नाउ इट इज कंपलसरी फॉर दोज हु हैव नॉट रजिस्टर्ड कि आप रजिस्ट्रेशन के पहले ट्रेनिंग की डिटेल, आप ट्रेनिंग लीजिए, ट्रेनिंग की डिटेल्स, उनका जो सर्टिफिकेट नंबर है, जो उसके बाद एग्जाम देते हैं, और जो एग्जाम की डिटेल्स है, जो सर्टिफिकेट ऑफ कॉम्पिटेंसी जो आती है व्हेन यू पास द एग्जाम्स, ऑल दैट नीड्स टू बी फिल्ड इन फॉर द रजिस्ट्रेशन. अगर न्यू रजिस्ट्रेशन है विदाउट द सर्टिफिकेट ऑफ कॉम्पिटेंसी, आप रेरा रजिस्ट्रेशन नहीं ले सकते हो. जो ट्रेनिंग के बाद जो एग्जाम होती है, वो उसके बाद जो सर्टिफिकेट ऑफ कॉम्पिटेंसी आता है, दैट इज वैलिड फॉर 5 years until it is revoked before. Similar to RERA agent registration certificate, even that is valid for 5 years until revoked before. Also RERA has now make a point कि जो client facing staff है उनको भी वो ट्रेनिंग लेनी है, उनको भी वो सर्टिफिकेशन लेना है. दो दैट डिटेल इज नॉट रिक्वायर्ड, अ डिक्लेरेशन इज रिक्वायर्ड कि जितने भी क्लाइंट फेसिंग स्टाफ है, दे हैव आल्सो रिसीव्ड दैट सर्टिफिकेट ऑफ कॉम्पिटेंसी एंड दे हैव आल्सो अंडरगॉन द ट्रेनिंग. इफ यू हैव एन एजेंट रजिस्ट्रेशन अदर देन महाराष्ट्र, तो दूसरे रजिस्ट्रेशन की डिटेल्स है. टर्नओवर डिक्लेरेशन, व्हाट वाज द टर्नओवर इन प्रीवियस ईयर, मोर देन 20 or not. Any kind of past litigation details, whether in relation to RERA or not, all the details are required to be filled in. And any kind of past revocation details, अगर आप नया registration ले रहे हो because your previous registration has been revoked, then उसकी details डालना भी compulsory है. Coming to documentation, very much simpler easy documentation as compared to promoter. पैन कार्ड, आधार कार्ड, जो एड्रेस प्रूफ है, फोटोज है. इन केस इट इफ द एंटिटी इज अदर देन इंडिविजुअल, तो उनका सर्टिफिकेट ऑफ इनकॉर्पोरेशन, लास्ट 3 years के इनकम टैक्स रिटर्न्स, जो लेटर हेड है, रबर स्टैम्प है, जो प्रमोटर के, जो ब्रोकरेज का इनवॉइस है, सॉरी नॉट ऑफ प्रमोटर, ऑफ द एजेंट, जो ब्रोकरेज का इनवॉइस है, जो एक्नॉलेजमेंट रिसीप्ट है, जो आप वो लोग इशू करते हैं टू ब्रोकर, अरे सॉरी, टू प्रमोटर्स और द home buyers, that receipt sample pro forma needs to be uploaded, and declaration about the criminal proceedings, जो details upload की है ऊपर, उनके relation में declaration, that and documentation, anything in relation to that. Now real estate agent updation required, एक half yearly form report उन्हें upload करना होता है, which is form 6. This needs to be updated within 20 days from end of that half year, which is 20th October and 20th April. बहुत ही नया रिक्वायरमेंट है, 2023 के पहले उन्हें सिर्फ रजिस्ट्रेशन लेके रख देना था, बाकी कोई कंप्लायंसेस नहीं होते थे. नाउ दे हैव इंक्रीज फॉर देम सो दैट दे हैव अ लेवल ऑफ प्रोफेशनलिज्म. डिटेल्स जो इसमें फिल करनी है, अगेन वेरी बेसिक डिटेल्स, उनका वैलिड रेरा रजिस्ट्रेशन सर्टिफिकेट होना चाहिए, एंड वैलिड सर्टिफिकेट ऑफ कॉम्पिटेंसी होना चाहिए. अगर वो दो नहीं है, तो जो आपने हाफ ईयरली रिपोर्ट अपलोड किया है, दैट विल नॉट बी कंसिडर एज वैलिड. यू नीड टू रिन्यू बोथ आर हैविंग वैलिडिटी ऑफ 5 years. जो 3 टेबल है जहाँ पे डिटेल्स है, दैट इज फर्स्ट इज द कौन से रियल एस्टेट प्रोजेक्ट्स में दे आर ऑन बोर्डेड एज द रियल एस्टेट एजेंट. सेकेंड इज जो अपार्टमेंट्स, प्लॉट्स या यूनिट्स या बिल्डिंग्स, एनीथिंग विच इज बीन फैसिलिटेटेड थ्रू देम, कुछ भी सेल अगर उनसे फैसिलिटेटेड हुआ है तो उनकी डिटेल्स डालना है. एंड लास्टली, अगर उनका टर्नओवर 20 lakhs क्रॉस हो जाता है, देन द डिटेल्स ऑफ प्रिंसिपल ऑफिसर एंड डेजिग्नेटेड डायरेक्टर नीड्स टू बी फिल्ड इन. उनकी बेसिक डिटेल्स डालनी होती है. Coming to the last module, complaint module. As per section 31, कोई भी any person who is aggrieved can file a complaint. ये एक misconception है सबके दिमाग में कि सिर्फ home buyers और allottees complaint file कर सकते हैं. It is not the case. When you approach the RERA department, जब भी आप जो website पे login create करते हो, they first give you a liberty कि आप conciliation forum में जाना चाहते हो क्या. Conciliation forum is a forum जहाँ पे amicable resolution, they try to come to a point when the disputes are settled amicably. Nominal fees होता है, conciliation की fees is just 1,000 rupees as compared to the complaints which is 5,000 rupees. But both the parties need to accept that they are okay with the conciliation. Only then online hearings होते हैं. All the hearings, all the complaints are online only in RERA. There is no physical complaints heard or no physical hearing at any stage. In scenarios जहाँ पे RERA department को लगता है कि यहाँ पे physical hearing is required, only then they instruct the complainants and the respondents. Otherwise everything is online. The facilitator comes, they try to enter into discussions and come to a resolution. अगर एक point पे अगर both the complainant and the respondent have reached, then that agreement is filed and that is binding on both the parties. The time limit, it is very much fast track कि 60 days के अंदर from the first hearing this conciliation part needs to be completed. 30 days का extension दिया जाता है in many cases जहाँ पे because of reasons it cannot be completed. 30 days का extension maximum दिया जाता है. Within 90 days conciliation is completed. If it is not completed within this period, then they need to go to the normal complaint procedure. So coming to the complaint procedure, we'll talk about complaints against the registered projects only. Firstly, two authorities, the RERA authority, which overlooks on all the complaints except the compensation complaints, जहाँ पे home buyers delay in possession हो गया, delay in amenities हो गया, या not receiving the amenities हो गया, उसके regarding जो complaints, जो compensation claims होंगे, that is handled by the adjudicating officer. Again, website is the new website. You have to fill in the details, documentation, create login, make the payment, which is 5,000, and thereafter online hearings are held. Anyone aggrieved by the orders passed by the authority or the adjudicating officer can file an appeal before the Maharashtra Real Estate Appellate Tribunal within 60 days. This appeal filing process is also online. Their hearings are also online. The tribunal hearings are also online. Coming to unregistered projects, अभी बहुत बार ये होता है that you might not be interested in a project but that is unregistered and according to that person that needs to be registered. So the Maharera invites people कि आप अगर if you have found such a project which should be registered but which is not registered, then come and provide us the information. So if the person complaining needs a hearing, then a source complaint needs to be filed in. Otherwise, a source information that you are just giving an information to RERA. According to me, this project is unregistered and should get registered. There is no cost in informing the same. Again, क्रिएटिंग लॉगिन एक एसआई नंबर अलोकेट होता है. यू नीड टू गिव द डिटेल्स अबाउट योर्स एंड वेरीफाइड वाया ओटीपी. And the technical officer will go and investigate, and the results, you will not be able to be a participant in that complaint or that process if a source information is filed, but the end result will be available on your dashboard. एंड लास्टली सोर्स कंप्लेंट, जहां पे आपको चाहिए कि ये रजिस्टर होना चाहिए था एंड इट इज नॉट रजिस्टर्ड एंड यू वांट अ हियरिंग बाय द डिपार्टमेंट, एंड इन दैट सिनेरियो अ सोर्स कंप्लेंट इज फाइल्ड. सिमिलर प्रोसेस, सिमिलर अमाउंट, 5,000 rupees is the fees. Source complaint as and when source complaint number is assigned, you need to inform the respondent also that I have filed a complaint, so and so is the details, and thereafter hearings will take place, and the similar way the normal hearings takes place. Again, any kind of orders pass, anybody aggrieved, they can go to the appellate tribunal. After the appellate tribunal, if anybody is aggrieved, they can go to the high court for going against the orders. So that is for the scenario, in case there are any questions. Any kind of questions?
Madam, I would suggest one second. Huh?
Since all are beginners to RERA, it would have been great if you had also included the basic professional fee structure for all the procedures. It would be of great help, and that would really kind of encouraging for all the professionals that what kind of I mean that would create an interest that how much we can monetize this RERA process. So next time definitely if you can do that also, that will be a great help.
So there cannot be a rate chart for any of the services by the professionals, because everyone has their own unique touch to that, but there can be the amount
But
of
reasonable.
efforts, it can be standardized based on amount of efforts, because in the registration of promoters you need a lot of efforts, you need to talk to a lot of other professionals as well. If you are a chartered accountant, you need to talk to architects, engineers and advocates, and if you are some other, you need to talk to everybody, and all the details needs to be symmetry. So the rate chart can't be, I don't think that can be discussed, but that
Certification. I mean, at least we can so evaluate the process and how much, for example, if we are doing a tax audit, we understand that there are certain minimum basic reasonable rates which we can start with. I mean, because it is a new field for a new professional,
Sir,
So let's
any
go with
I can say that based on the number of days or the number of days efforts you put in, because in cases of registration of promoters, the efforts might exceed to like 7 to 15 days, because there might be some documentation issue, details issue, there might be some contradiction. So you need to again and again verify and correct that. So anything based on your 17 to 15 days of efforts, you can charge to your clients.
Okay. Okay. So it was indeed a very detailed coverage of the topic, and it was very much exhaustive, whatever you have covered for RERA. And surely will be, I mean, those who are not practicing in this area would like to explore this area because the way you made this presentation, we would also like to have this presentation for our members. So there is one query. Someone has raised the hand. One second.
Hi, my name is Mohit, and thank you very much, Panerji, for the exhaustive presentation on this. Sorry, sir, for interrupting your vote of thanks. Just two questions I have, Panerji. One, the how important is it to have knowledge of Marathi language for anyone to practice specifically for registration, because you may have to deal with property documents and other land records and building plans, any orders from the respective jurisdiction. So how important is it to have a knowledge of Marathi? And the second question is, if everything is in place, how long does the RERA authority, Maharera authority, take to get the approval for the particular project? Thank you.
So the first question, in cases of Marathi, yes, many documents, even today, planning authorities issue in Marathi. So a basic knowledge of Marathi is required. But if you talk about the suburban part or Pune, more developed part, they are issuing in English only. So yes, if you are dealing with some projects which are in interior parts, you need to have a hold on Marathi, but that documents are not much. They are very less in number as compared to all the other documents which are actually issued in English only. So there might not be any issue if you can have somebody with a reasonable knowledge of understanding of reading and writing in Marathi. That can be done very easily. And secondly, if everything is completed, all the application is complete in all respects, then practically within 15 to 20 days, the RERA registration certificate is issued. Issuing scrutiny remarks is very much very they take very short period of time. हमारे एक केस में तो सैटरडे शाम को जब सबमिट किया था, the promoter came up to the on Monday that they received the scrutiny remark on Sunday morning itself. So scrutiny remarks are received very much easily. Once you resubmit the application, thereafter that 30 days period is again started. So if the application is complete in all aspects, from that day you can consider practically within 15 to 20 working days you can get the registration
Thank you,
certificate.
madam. And I forgot one more question. Is it compulsory to send the physical files to the authority, or everything is online only?
Everything is online, sir. Everything is online.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Jaideep, 1 second. Paneri ma'am, this CA certificate is to be issued by the chartered accountant regarding the land cost and everything. Now, in case of a redevelopment project, the landowners gets the flat considered as a part of the consideration. So
Correct.
how to determine and justify the land cost by the CA, because he is giving the certificate for particular land cost.
Sir, the estimates, as I already told, are not being prepared by the chartered accountants. They have clarified जो ASR value है of the project of the land as on the date of application, that needs to be filled in. This is very much clarified by RERA in the order.
What is the ASR cost, ma'am?
Annual statement of rates cost, there is a rate chart of that land जो every land के लिए already ready available है, issued by the Maharashtra government. So that amount needs
That land cost is to be taken from there only,
yes,
irrespective of what the amount of flat he is getting into, right?
yes, sir.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, there is one more question in message section. how shall you disclose the extra area sold to tenant in case of redevelopment project in Form 3?
Okay.
Can you share the list of expenses specifically not allowed in cost of land development?
Okay, so for the first query, in the sold inventory, the table C, the sold inventory column, you need to mention that which is already sold, which is already allocated to tenant, and the amounts which are received or receivable from that tenants, that needs to be mentioned there in table C, with a specific declaration in the comment section that these are actually sold to the tenants before RERA. So there is no non-compliance, there is no sale to external party, there is no non-compliance for RERA, but this has been received along with the inventory sold details, needs to be compulsorily updated and uploaded. And coming to the second query, can you just repeat that query, please?
Can you share the list of expenses specifically not allowed in cost of land development?
Okay, the list of expenses list is quite long, but it is very clear. Anything in relation to sale is not allowed. All the admin expenses are not allowed. जो आपके कंस्ट्रक्शन, जो बिल्डिंग कंस्ट्रक्ट करने के लिए जो बेसिक रिक्वायरमेंट्स और डॉक्यूमेंटेशन है, उसकी जो कॉस्ट है और जो मटेरियल यूज हो रहा है उसकी जो कॉस्ट है, ओनली दैट इज रिक्वायर्ड. इफ यू गो विद दैट रूल, देन इट इज वेरी क्लियर कि जो आपको एक्चुअली जो कंस्ट्रक्शन के लिए लैंड खरीदने के लिए या लैंड यूज करने के लिए जितने भी कॉस्ट है वो ही सारे अलाउड है, बाकी कोई भी एक्सपेंसेस अलाउड नहीं है. इफ यू गो विद दैट रूल, देन इट इज सिंपल. The list is quite long. If anybody requires it, we can share that later on.
Sure. Also. Okay, so I think there are no more questions. So I would like to invite Rima madam for the vote of thanks. Rima, over to you.
Thank you, Jaideep bhai. Well, it was an excellent session, I would say. Parekh is a pro in the provisions of RERA Act. The way she has conducted today's lecture shows us her deep knowledge and vast experience on the topic. She not only explained us the act, but also made us aware that we as professionals have great opportunities in the field. You know, she actually spoon fed us from the starting, right from the registration to the compliances of various notices to your passing of various exams and everything. So it was a very in-depth explanation given today. And I'm sure that she will even guide us in case we choose to practice in this field in future.
Definitely. I would love to.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am, for such a wonderful session. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Request you to share your PPT because some members are asking those who have missed it.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.